this year so far. My gosh, the time is just flying by. Cannot believe it. How about you? I love the weather, though. I actually put my jacket and a scarf on this morning. It was kind of early, but uh, it was kind of also chilly, so that was different. What's coming up on my screen over here? Please leave me alone. Oh my, I mean, our computers are invaded all the time. Okie dokie. Well, hanging in there, 27 days of inventory in the Las Vegas market. You need to be the authority on your market. People want to know what's going on in our market. So it's very important that you say, hey, we just listed 133 homes yesterday. We put 104 under contract. And guess what? We have 27 or 28 days of available inventory. And of that, 805 are under 400,000. It's a great market. It's a fantastic market. We're selling about 107 homes a day. And that's a little bit less than last year when we were doing about 110 in October. Not a big deal. I think we'll maintain last October's numbers. And if I can help you in any way, determine whether what your home is worth and how much equity you have. Anyway, all that type of verbiage needs to come out and roll out of your mouth. You need to be the expert because people want to know what's going on in the Las Vegas market. And what we're going to do now, next week, John has his hip surgery, so we will be out of town. I'm still I think I'll be here Monday, Tuesday. And I don't know if I'll be here Wednesday because I'll be driving to California. Kane may do the show. I may do the stats. I might do the stats Tuesday night, and then Kane might present them on Wednesday for me. But then Thursday, I should be able to do a short show out of California. And Friday, and I think we're coming back Monday. Anyway, we've got someone here to watch the puppies. We've got our caretaker who's taking care of the house. So it's all good. And John will be so happy to get rid of this pain in his hip. So, oh gosh, just painful watching him. But anyway, it'll all be better. I said we'll be dancing by Christmas. That's what we're going to do. So nothing else much going on. The non-owner occupied people are buying our homes about 44 a day. So that hasn't changed for some time this year. $1 million homes are still flying off the shelf at 4.5 of those a day. And we have 518 available, and that's gone down. That fluctuates a little bit, but doesn't fluctuate more than 10% for sure. Maybe not even more than 5% for sure. So that's kind of the scheme of things right here. We're selling 107 homes a day. That's wonderful. And life is good. Let us get on with the show today because we have something special. And with a little bit of luck, you know me, with a little bit of luck, I'll make it work. Okay, this is Seth Godin. Now, Seth Godin was at the Success Summit, which was a 24-hour live stream that I watched most of it. I still have some. Hi, Karen. Good morning. Good morning, Karen. Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm so glad it's Friday. Anyway, yes. So Tom Ferry had his 3-day summit in Dallas, and you could live stream it, and I did. And when you live stream, you got to watch it, right? But because I learned how to video, I videoed parts of it that I wanted to sit back and watch again and share with you. So that's what I did. And so let's get started here because I don't know exactly where I'm going to end this today. So bear with me, but it's about 9:20. We'll watch maybe 10, 15 minutes of it, maybe 20 minutes of it. We'll see what the breaking is. But Seth is awesome. And he takes such a different look at the market, such a different perspective of what we're doing and how we're doing. And he has written 20 books. He blogs every day for over 9,000 days. He's just a researcher and he's learned marketing down. Oh, hi, Frank. Good morning, Frank. Good to see you, Frank. Anyway, so he's got the marketing. What would you call it? Well, there's advertising and there's marketing. We know that. There's sales and there's marketing. We know that. But he understands that the marketing perspective is all about the consumer. And that's anyway. Let's just listen to him. You don't need to listen to me. Okay, I'm gonna do a check. Make sure that when we get started here, you'll be able to hear him. I did something a little different today. Keep trying new things to make maybe things go smoother. But let's see here. Okay, let me see if I can hear myself. Oh, the video. What happened? What happened to it? Did we lose it? Huh. Don't see anything. This video is unavailable. Oh, that's not good. Let's see if we can't go get it again. I got it. I uploaded it to YouTube, so that's what I was trying to do. Let me go get it. Got my link. Let's see. Hang on here. Always testing life, right? So we could probably share. I could probably share the screen, but I'd rather do the video from YouTube. Let's see. I made it private, so maybe that's why. Otherwise, we'll watch it from there. Y'all are just learning how to do this along with me. So whatever. Okay, so let's see YouTube. Then I paste the link in here. We push it to staging. I'm going to get rid of that one. See if this one works. It might not because I made it private, so we'll see. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, just put it on here again. Nope. Okay, well, so we'll watch it over on YouTube. So hang on just a second. Let's see if I can share the screen even. See, I'm not familiar with the hang on. Well, best laid plans, right? So let's see, let me get rid of that. I don't know why it won't play. Hold, please. Let me go to my channel. Go to here. And details. Maybe I have to make it public. Public, public, public. Public, public, public. I know there's other ways to do it, but I want to do it the best. Well, let's see here.
And things out. Pretty much in brokerage in your you made enough money.
Hang on, everybody.
Seth Godin.
See if I can't share my screen.
So much. I haven't seen that in person in a very long time.
I'm trying.
Okay. I want to talk about being together today. I wish I would get together with you.
I'm trying.
I've written a whole bunch of books, and I realize that none of them are about things one can do by yourself. That the essence of what you do is you bring people together. You bring them together with their family. You bring them together with real estate. You bring the firm you work with together. And sometimes we call this work that we do marketing, but I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about it. So let's start with this. We are in the business of marketing. That modern marketing is different than marketing used to be. And if you can understand this, if you can learn this, you have this significant advantage over everyone who thinks they know what they're doing. Marketing is no longer advertising, and marketing isn't hype. Now, this is worth decoding because for 50 years, advertising and marketing were the same thing. It didn't matter if you were busy buying classified ads or if you were a big company buying TV ads. If you bought the right ads in the right volume, you made enough money to buy more ads. And this went on until the 1990s. And I was the person who invented email marketing. And then the web showed up and it started to change things because all of a sudden it was really hard to reach everyone. It's really hard now even to reach everyone in Jackson Hole or everyone in Cleveland because there are so many different places for people to be. And so people who thought they had the right to our attention started to spam us and hustle us and interrupt us and hand things out and basically just be a jerk to get more attention. And so marketing got a bad name. Marketing got the name of, oh, well, this is what we do to hustle something. This is what we do to promote something. And Tom, sorry to say, this is what we do to get the word out, to stand out. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is that we have to be very clear if we're a marketer about what we make. So if I ask that question to someone in real estate, what do you make? Maybe they think I'm asking how much money do you make? That's not what I'm asking you. What do you make? Well, you don't have a factory. You don't make widgets. And you might have keychains with your names on them, but you don't make the keychains. What do you make? And I think what you make is a difference. And I think what you make is change. Successful marketers make a change happen. Now that change could be something super trivial. That I was on a hike years ago in Peru, way up, 10,000 feet above sea level. And we turn around this curb on the mountain and there's somebody selling water. What does that person make? What change do they make? They turn thirsty people into unthirsty people. Or maybe you work for a company that simply turns non-customers into customers. But I don't think that rises to the level of what you do. You make a significant change happen for the people who buy and who sell a home. And that change is not that you are a clerk, because there are other people less trained, less hardworking, less skilled than you who can do that. Clerk work is not what we are here to talk about. What we want to talk about is, who do you want your customers to become? As Michael Schrage has taught us, that is the essence of the real kind of change. What journey are they on? What does it mean to be a parent and be able to move to a different home? What does it mean to be a senior citizen and to sell your home and to extract your nest egg? What does it mean for your home to look one way or another way? What does it mean to be part of a community? We are here to help people become who they seek to become. And if you are building a team, the same thing is true for the junior folks that are coming along. They're not working for you because you're paying them the most. They're working for you because you see them and are helping them go on a journey to make change happen. And so if it touches the market, everything you do that touches the market is marketing. Not just the logo or where you put the sign or what time you have an open house, but the way you answer the phone and the way you comport yourself at the closing and the way you talk about people in front of their face and the way you talk about them behind their back and what happens in your office during hours when it's not being used by you to do your work. These are all marketing choices. And I've been lucky enough to know some very extraordinarily successful real estate professionals throughout my career. And one thing that I have noticed is that they are not successful because they are lucky. And they are not successful because they hustle harder. That they might be lucky and they might sometimes work harder than other people. But they're successful because they stand for something and because they help make a change happen. And it begins with practical empathy. The people you are serving, whether it's your buyers or your sellers or your staff, they don't know what you know. They don't want what you want. They don't believe what you believe. And we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with that. You don't have to be a cancer survivor to be a successful oncologist. But what you do have to do is have empathy, practical empathy, to be able to see other people for who they are and where they seek to go. So I'm going to come back to this over and over again today, but this is super important. In the next 5 years, the real estate industry is going to change more than it has changed any time in the last 50 years. It is going to be turned upside down, and it begins with this. Zillow knows more than you do, and that's good. It's not bad. It's good. It used to be that you could hoard information, that you knew more about something that was in some magic notebook than any person, buyer or seller, could discover. But those days are over. And what it means is that people who are used to being clerks, who are used to being at the lowest level of the real estate business, are going to be replaced by a system the same way Uber replaced taxi companies everywhere you look. Because the taxi companies used to depend on drivers who knew something. You don't need to know anything to be an Uber driver except how to follow the steps. And the same thing is going to be true for anyone who's doing clerk work. Instead, the future is going to belong to people who choose to be on the hook. Now, I know that we were talking about Jackson Hole earlier. Years ago, I went to an event in Jackson Hole with the Fast Company people. And they got us up one morning at 4:30 in the morning, and they took us out for a fly fishing lesson. And I surprised people because I asked the guide if they had any flies that didn't have a hook on them. Because I wanted to learn how to fly fish, but I didn't want to actually catch a fish. Because if I caught a fish, I would torture a fish and then I have to let the fish go. I decided my life would be better if I could just be present and learn to cast. But that got me thinking about on the hook, because fish don't like to be on the hook. Being on the hook is a bad place for a fish. But you need to be on the hook. Being on the hook means you made a promise to someone. You made a promise that you are now on the hook to keep. And that promise isn't a specific one like I guarantee this much money will trade hands. It is a promise about humanity, about seeing people, about how we show up in the world, because that is why someone is going to seek us out in the first place. So yeah, the world is upside down. There's a long overdue focus on racial injustice. There's a lot of insecurity about our health. There's so many things that are changing and happening in our world, and this is as normal as it is ever going to be again. And I could give you a list of 50 things that are going to fundamentally change that your parents and your grandparents wouldn't even recognize. And it's all poised to happen. Just the very fact that I'm talking to you today the way I am would have been impossible 5 years ago. There are revolutions all around us. And what revolutions do is they destroy the perfect and then they enable the impossible. You know what's impossible? It's impossible that I looked at more than 500 homes in one region of the Adirondacks in New York in less than 3 weeks. That's impossible. How could anyone look at 500 homes with tours of the inside and tax maps and everything? Of course we can do that now. But 5 years ago, it was impossible. That's what revolutions do. They destroy things that were perfect. Your industry was perfect. More than 1 million people making a somewhat decent or amazingly decent living, walking into an industry with very few barriers to entry. And yet, a lot of that perfection is going away because the clerks aren't going to be able to charge what they've been charging. And they're not going to be respected the way they've been respected because a computer knows more than they do. And if you don't believe me, ask a travel agent. Oh, that's right. You don't know any travel agents because they've all left the building. And none of you mourned it when they went away. You booked your ticket to come here today, wherever here is, online. Because the internet knows more about where all the planes are than any human. And the same thing is going to be true for someone who's merely a clerk. Okay, so Tom was talking about my project, The Purple Cow. So I want to give you the background out of it and tell you the story. Years ago, I did a book, and it was an epic failure. I got a pretty decent advance, and it didn't sell, partly because it came out right after 9/11. And partly because it was too complicated for a lot of people. So I got kicked out of the book industry. No one wanted my next book. Well, a few months later, a dear friend of mine who lived in Paris, France, Lionel Poulain, died in a tragic helicopter crash. And he and his wife left behind 2 young daughters who I still care very much about. And I decided I wanted to dedicate a book to Lionel, but I couldn't do that because I didn't have a book and I didn't have a publisher. So I decided to write a book inspired by his bakery. Now, the Poulain Bakery, you can still go. It's at 8 Rue de Cherche-Midi in Paris, regularly has a line out the door. Back in the old days, there'd be a line for an hour. People had flown in from Japan who were buying $400 worth of bread and flying home. And amazingly, 2 out of 3 of the 2 and 3-star restaurants in Paris served his bread at every meal. And amazingly, he didn't even make French bread or baguettes. What Lionel did, using flour, water, salt, and starter, 4 ingredients, which are 2 more ingredients than you use, he made a loaf of bread that was worth talking about. And so people came and they talked about it. And we're going to decode some of those things. There were no gimmicks. There was no hustle. There was no advertising. But there was a line out the door. So I made this book, but then I said, well, how am I going to bring it to the world? And I decided to publish it myself. And printing is sort of expensive. Publishing is really hard. So I only made 5,000 copies of the book. I had a column in Fast Company magazine that earned me permission, anticipated, personal, and relevant messages delivered to the people who wanted to get them, earned me permission to talk to about 100,000 readers. Because week after week, month after month, my column was in the magazine. So I wrote a column about the book, and at the end I said, if you send me $5 for postage and handling, I'll send you a free copy. Well, it just turned out it cost me $5 in postage and handling to make the whole thing. So I broke even, and I sent out the 5,000 copies. But I didn't send them out in an envelope. I sent them out in a milk carton. And if you think it's easy to put a book in a milk carton, I have to tell you that it's not. But leaving that aside, when people got the milk carton in the mail without an envelope, they didn't say, oh, a gimmick. Isn't that clever? What they saw was a flag that they could fly on their desk. And it was a flag about doing work you cared about. It was a flag about doing work that was remarkable, not a hustle, not a gimmick, but work that was worth talking about. Because what it means to be remarkable is it is worth making a remark about. And what I argue in the book is that if it's worth making a remark about, people are going to talk about you. No one talked about this because I asked them to. No one talked about this because they liked me. They talked about it because they liked themselves, that it was an idea that would raise their status and affiliation, their standing in the world, if other people got the idea. And so the question that we begin with is, why on earth would anyone talk about you when you do a good job? Because back before you were in real estate, did you talk about the person who bought or sold a house or helped you do so? Probably not, because that would help them. It's like the person in the life insurance business asking for referrals. No one wants to do that. They want to talk about themselves. They don't want email. They want me-mail. And so the argument begins with intentional design. I want you to be able to tell me, who exactly are you for? This change you seek to make, who is it for? What specific mindset? Who's it for and what's it for? After the change happens, can we tell? And that means you choose the smallest viable audience, not the biggest possible one, but the smallest one that can sustain you. 20 years ago, I knew a real estate broker in my town who specialized within the boundaries of the law into selling to people like her. She was a married woman who was gay, and she decided that gay married women were going to have a hard time being treated fairly by others. So she showed up at the right events. She reached out in an appropriate way. And that was her audience. Those were the people who were attracted to what she had to say, because she made a bet that they wanted a similar change, that they wanted to be treated a certain way. Maybe your smallest viable audience are people who want to be in a certain building in Manhattan. And we all know that there are real estate brokers in that building who are making 7 figures a year selling real estate in just one building, because the geography implies a mindset. It implies a problem that someone has before they come to see you. You're not selling them a house. They can buy a house without you. You're selling them a story. And that story is one we tell ourselves, and it's one we might tell other people. Smallest viable audience isn't a compromise. It's a stepping stone. My books have sold millions and millions of copies, but to a rounding error, 0%. 0% of the people on earth have bought one of my books. And 0% of the people in the United States have bought a house from you. 0. It's enough. We're not trying for everyone. Your motto can't be, if you need someone, I'm someone, because there is another someone one click away. And even though there's a lot of similar pricing in this industry, the idea that you're just going to play by the numbers, that you're going to make somebody more money if they sell with you or save somebody money if they buy from you, well, that's a race to the bottom. And the problem with the race to the bottom is you might win or come in second. That our opportunity, the reason you're talking to someone like Tom is not because you need a spreadsheet to show that you're worth seeking out, but precisely because you can't use a spreadsheet. People don't talk about the numbers. If someone even bothers to talk about how much money they made in the stock market, they're not doing it because they want to announce how much money they made. They're doing it because they're telling you a story about their perspicacity, a story about their insight, a story about their guts, right? That what we are seeking to do here is work that matters for people who care. Do you know what work that matters is? Do you know who the people who care are? Because if all this is, well, I need the listings and I need the commission, that's not work that matters because plenty of other people can do that. And people who care, people who want what you have that they can't get from anyone else, that's hard to find, but worth seeking out. We are seeking enrollment. Now, enrollment's an interesting phrase because when we think about public school enrollment, we mean you have to go. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the opposite of that. Actual enrollment is people who want to go where you are going. People who seek to make and live and embrace the change you seek to go on. So in the book Purple Cow, I talk about a real estate broker in my town, the person I actually bought my house from. And his father started the firm. And he and his father have been inside every single house in this town of 2,200 houses. So here's what happens if you work with him to buy a house. He takes you on a tour of town and he drives past all these houses that aren't for sale. And he tells you who lives there and who lived there before that. And he tells you about what this kid did and where they went. And he tells you about this and he tells you about that. And he gives you this half-hour guided tour of what does it even mean to be a resident of this town. And if you don't get the joke, you're probably not going to buy a house from him. But if you say, this is why I came here, the weird zoning laws, the difficulty in getting a permit, the fact that the Mothers Club is filled with members, all of whom are over 75 years old, the fact that there's a committee fighting to keep a rusted water tower in a Superfund site from being taken down, that's why we're here. If you are enrolled in that journey, who else would you want to show you a home? And if he needs to sell you a house 2 towns away, you don't want to buy it from him because that's not who he is. This, I live right next to the Hudson River, which is a fjord, a tidal estuary. This is a barge. And the barge is being pushed by a tugboat. So I wanted to show you this partly because it's a little bit of trivia, which is I thought tugboats tugged, but most of the time they push. And the reason they push is it gives them more control, that there isn't the slack in the line going back and forth. That management is about pushing and telling people what to do. But these are birds flying in formation. And as my friend Zig Ziglar taught me, what you'll notice is the front bird keeps moving around and it changes which bird's in front. But none of the birds are forced to follow the lead bird because the lead bird is leading, not managing. And the thing is, in this industry more than almost any other, there aren't very many managers. Managers, people who use power and authority to tell other people what to do, not so much room for that. But leaders who say, I'm going over there, do you want to come? Leaders are the opposite of clerks. Leaders aren't hustling. Leaders aren't hacks. Leaders can stand up and describe exactly why they're doing something and where they're headed. They might not always succeed, but they have a vision and a goal and they're willing to share it. Instead of running around looking for prospects, maybe what you need is students. Students who want to learn from you. Students who would voluntarily sign up for your email newsletter and read it. What permission means is if you didn't send it out next week, folks would call you up and say, where is it? I miss you. Are you okay? Is that what would happen if you didn't send out your email blast? I hate that word. Your email blast next week? Would people call up and say, where is it? I miss you. You know, my email's not that hard to find. Please don't send me junk in the mail. But I can't tell you how many real estate brokers from around the country send me junk in the mail. Guess what? You cannot spam your way to victory. No, what you can do is tell a story. Stories are the original human technology, not Once Upon a Time or The Princess Bride or Star Wars. That's not what I'm talking about. Story is the way it smells when you walk into your mom's house on Thanksgiving. A story is that icky feeling you get when you get a bad handshake from somebody. A story is thinking right now about the best teacher you had in high school. These are stories that get to our core because someone showed up in a certain way. I have very few stories that I've heard from people who were clerks in the real estate business because they were doing something that was important because it needed to be done, but lots of people could do it. No, instead, we need to figure out how to go outside our comfort zone and live and tell a story, a true story, an authentic story, a story we can point to. Once people get your story, that's what they buy. They don't buy how many listings you got last year, those full page ads that go on in New York about the number one producer. Nah, people aren't informed enough to compare your stats to somebody else's stats. If they were, you probably wouldn't win that often. No, but they know a winner when they meet one. And if that's the story they need to tell themselves, I'm a winner and my broker's a winner, that's the story. But there are countless stories available because there are countless people who are looking for a real estate broker. Now, I'm going to go sideways here for a few minutes, and I hope you're thinking of your questions because in about 15 minutes, we're going to start taking them. Genre and generic do not mean the same thing. Generic is the real estate broker with the business card with their little picture in the corner, driving exactly the same car as every other real estate broker, answering the phone in the same way as every
Okay, I am back. Let's do it this way. So I'm back. Hold on, let me put my earphones on here. Okay, and I am back. So again, this is going to go on for another 25 minutes. However, I've stopped it here because I think that we need to understand what Seth is telling us. First of all, he's saying that it's a good thing that there's Zillow in the industry. I'm having a hard time digesting that. You know me. But what he's saying is we can't be clerks anymore because Zillow is going to be the clerk. We need to be the person with a purpose, the person who do you want your customer to become? He's talking about the parents, like you have a family and they want to live in a particular neighborhood, or you have a senior who wants to now move into perhaps a senior community. Who do you want your customers to become? And you have to be able to express that with practical empathy, because practical empathy means you really care. You really care. Seth says that this industry is going to change more in the next 5 years than it's changed in the last 50 years. And it's like he subtly threw in there, oh, you're going to go to Dallas to the Tom Ferry Success Summit, and you're going to call your travel agent. Oh, there are no more travel agents. And all of a sudden, and he says, and they just went away, and we just went online, and we just booked our flight. And that is what he says is going to happen to many, 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 many real estate agents that are just clerks. Do not be a clerk. And the way you're not a clerk is that you need to have a promise about how you're going to help people. And the way that you do that is by telling stories, just like he was ending at the end of the segment that I stopped. you have to have a story, and your story can be about your neighborhood. That's why I'm trying to impress upon everybody, get a farm, make it your neighborhood. I mean, what a wonderful idea, right? Like, and trust people in your neighborhood. That's why you're there. And they can know, like, and trust you to be their realtor, be their go-to person, because you are going to tell a story about how wonderful it is to live in that neighborhood and live in that community with the schools over here and the Starbucks over there and the Italian restaurant down there. And you are going to tell a story, and you are going to be the person that's the expert in that neighborhood. And you can make a wonderful living listing homes and selling those homes. And along the way, you'll get buyers that you can help do other things in other communities. But you need to have a focus. You need to have a farm. Zillow is the clerk. Zillow is going to be the button they push if you're not there. So we have to be there. And I'm telling you, Brian Buffini, he coaches us. Tom Buffini, Tom Ferry. Tom Ferry. I love him. He coaches in a different way, totally different way, allows me to take snippets of things and give them to you and adjust and adapt them to our market. So this industry is changing, and you have to be, what did he say? Choose to be on the hook. You have to have a promise about how you're going to help people. That's how you're going to be on the hook. You're going to be out there for people, and that's your hook. This is how I can help you. Shh, kids. My kids got out again today, sorry. And then, he's talking about who is it for? What's it for? And you need to do work that matters. People who care seek what you are giving. So we'll watch this again, because I think I only played like 20 minutes of it. Watch it again and listen. I've listened to it 5 or 6 times. And while it was, I took all these notes. That's the way I take my notes. While he was, again, I mean, every time I listen to it, I hear something different. Like I didn't hear the first time about, someone selling water. They make thirsty people into non-thirsty people, which is a purpose. And he was talking about the difference between advertising and marketing, and about real estate, and how real estate agents can't be clerks. And who do we want our customers to become? All those things. Empathy's in there. The industry is going to change. How Zillow is not a bad thing. I'm still having a tough time with that one. But anyway, I think what he's saying is people are going to want us, not necessarily a clerk like Zillow. They want us, the people with the story, the people that's going to help them. So anyway, I love you all. What's the name of this? Let's see. What does Diana say? Hang on, Diana. Hold on. My mouse isn't working. Hide. What's her question here? What's the name? What's the name of this? Listen on YouTube. So what I did, Diana, is I paid to go to to get the 24-hour streaming of the Success Summit that Tom Ferry gave. And then I have a program that I can take a video of the video, if that makes sense, Diana. So I videoed the video. So I can show it privately, but I can't put it out there on YouTube publicly. So I will put it in the group. You can watch this on the group. I'm going to play the whole thing. So, but this part today, and then I'll play maybe on Sunday I'll upload and the second part. I'm going to be a little busy tomorrow. I have my show tomorrow, so I won't be able to do it tomorrow. But Sunday I'll upload the rest of it so that you all can listen to it, or maybe I'll upload the whole thing. It's an hour long, and I think it won't be a problem. Yeah, if I do it in our private group, but I don't want to get in trouble. I think if I publicized it on YouTube, what I did, I might get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. I know it's okay for me to use it. Tom Ferry says, use anything that you see here. And he actually gave us the opportunity to watch the live stream again. And that's when I actually videoed the video. But anyway, so he says, let your team watch it, whatever. So he's given me permission, everybody, to do that. But I don't think I can put it on a public platform. So anyway, it's Friday. Have a wonderful Friday. Karen says, I would like the video. Yeah, I'm going to upload it. I'll upload it to the group. It's a very interesting perspective. I love Seth Godin, and I'll do that. I'll upload the whole thing, but it won't be till Sunday because I'm swamped today and tomorrow, and Sunday I'll have time to do it. So something to live for, right? I always have something to live for. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Oh, Monday we have a class, 2 to 5. Our new law class. Sign up, please. We've got lots of sign-ups. People are very interested in law, of course. Not a lot of people teach law, and most of it is pretty boring, but not with Jimmy. So hope to see you all Monday from 2 to 5. And have a great weekend. I love the weather.